Alright, dudes. Look at this. +1 to maximum frenzy charges. +1 to maximum frenzy charges. 300 divine. Does anyone want to buy this and give it to me? Does anyone want to do... Oh, no one wants... Okay, fine. No one wants to do that. It is the only one with those. And I am not about to go buy a bunch of +1 frenzy charges gloves and start corrupting them to try to get that double frenzy. I am not going to do that. I'm probably going to end up doing that. Anyways, 300 divine. I do not have 300 divine. I do not even have close to 300 divine. I could have if I saved, but then I would be pigeonholed and doing nothing but frenzy charge builds, which I kind of already am, given a lot of my gear. Anyways, this video is the final product, I would call it. I was finally able to find a bear face with the frenzy damage mod. So now I have bear face, which is a much better helmet than Abyssus. But the problem is I wasn't able to find a bear face with this mod, and I don't run labs because labs are boring and annoying. So I don't run labs, so I just buy stuff that has lab enchants on it. So I got that lab enchant. I think the best variation of this build is one with split arrow and frenzy. So you have a single target damage and a multi-target damage. This feels the most fun. Now, a lot of people say my builds are trash, and you know what? They are 100% correct. But you can take my trash and make it your own. So, for instance, this weapon here, it's obviously not the highest damage weapon. I'm only using it because it gives me +1 to frenzy charges, and I kind of like having 14 frenzy charges. It feels good. It makes my wanger feel pretty nice. So you could replace this bow with a much higher DPS weapon, and your damage will significantly increase, making this build significantly better. On top of that, you might even be able to do a better chest piece than this. I did this because I wanted to get some really cool Watcher's Eye jewels, and then you also might be able to get a build that modifies the Watcher's Eye synergy. You might even be able to do a better belt. Anyways, the general concept of this build is pretty okay. It's non-meta good. Now, there's specific elements you can definitely improve. Maybe your pathing is better. This is how I chose to path. These leech nodes probably aren't very good, but, you know, the mana becomes a problem, and this actually 2 mana per enemy hit kind of helps out a lot. So, you know, you might be able to improve your pathing. I am not a poison damage expert. If I include this, it will increase my damage, I'm pretty sure. But my crit chances, my crit multiplier is not very high. So it won't increase it that much, so I just don't have it on because I don't really want it on. But you could probably put that on and then make modifications to the build. So maybe instead of Withering Touch or something, you can make some kind of modification that focuses more on poison. Maybe you can even get this belt to work. This belt right here. Belt. I did not put it in there. I have it in one of my inventories. It's a +1 to frenzy charge belt. So right here, this belt right here. Maybe you can make this belt work for you. Me personally, I think the loss of damage from the frenzy charges going into, what do they call these charges? Affliction charges is not worth it. Maybe you can modify this build to use Spectral Helix, one of the worst feeling spells in this game. I hate Spectral Helix. You replace that blow with the claw, do some Nightblade abuse, and your damage is gonna explode over this. Hell, you can even replace this with the claw and do an attack version of this frenzy, and your damage is gonna explode as well because you get to abuse Nightblade. And when you abuse Nightblade, you know, it's nice. Of course, when you abuse Nightblade, you're gonna have to switch out your chest piece. The only reason I'm using this chest piece is because I'm using a bow. So there's a lot of decisions made here which do reduce my damage. You can even fucking pop in a badge of the Brotherhood. When I make a build, I'm not making it as in like, here, you should copy this build because my builds are trash. I'm making a build that I'm like, hey, I think this build would be fun to play, and I find it interesting. So I find this interesting because I get to stack 14 charges, and I get to fucking use a bunch of eyes, and I got 9% damage per frenzy charge here, and I got 4% damage per frenzy charge here, And then this right here gives me fucking 5% damage over time per frenzy charge, accuracy per frenzy charge, attack speed for frenzy charge, and this gives me evasion per frenzy charge. So I got a bunch of fucking frenzy charge synergies, which just kind of, it kind of bubbles my balls a little bit. I like it. I like it. So this is the final product. Bare face, this weapon, this body armor. I'm still using this. The 53% chaos damage while affected by a Herald of Agony, I think, is good enough to offset all the downsides of running one of these rings. The physical damage reduction increases tankiness. This one was very cheap. This was only like a 3 divine ring, so you could definitely do better with get a much better mods on here, because it's just movement speed and physical damage reduction. This is quality of life ring here. You can definitely do better there. This amulet, you probably can't do much better. I needed the resistances, I need the life, I need the damage per frenzy, so this is probably pretty damn close to the best in slot. This belt is obviously fantastic, so, can't really hate on the belt. Gloves, you're not going to do better. Boots, you might be able to actually get some better boots, but I like the modifications to this. One of the downsides is it's like kind of slow walking without it, which I could pump in 10% increased movement speed here when you haven't been hit, instead of this damage. I can maybe even refund like these nodes, or refund some of these nodes. Just refund some nodes to get more quality of life, more polymath or something like that. But this seems to be how I like it. Now another thing is this right here, this node here. Poisons you inflict with critical strikes deal 25% more damage. I don't really understand whether or not this is applying like on POE. And I don't really understand how it's going to affect my total crit. So in terms of like, let's take a look at my crit chance. My crit chance is like 30%. I don't know what +2 to my weapon here, from a 6% critical strike chance to an 8%. I don't know what that's going to do to this number here. And I'm too lazy to, take a look and modify that. So why I bring that up is I don't know if running this right here, this increased critical strike chance instead of unbound ailments or awaken added chaos, I don't know if that's going to be better. I just don't, because my numbers here, it's difficult to ascertain because of the damage over time and that flesh and stone build that I have. It's pretty difficult to ascertain. I can even pop this in there and do neither of those and just do double crit nodes like that, and it might be the best option. That's just not something I know. TBH. To be honest. I like this one because it just adds some flat damage, which is beautiful. And the +1 to active support gems, also quite nice. And this extends the duration. So these two seem to me like some of the stronger nodes, but this might be the better option. So I just don't know. I'm gonna run it with this for a little bit because I haven't run it with this, and I'm gonna see what happens. But this is overall my favorite variation of this build. I just talked for a very long time. On the Pantheon, I put on this one here because Ignite was kind of being a problem. So now I get rid of Ignite there, and this kind of helps out with the damage over time and poison, which seems to be the two biggest problems. I can't get frozen, so I don't need that one. I could do this one here and do a little bit more damage, but my physical, my armor is non-existent, but all my physical damage is coming from this flask here, which gives me 3 endurance charges. I can even pump it up one more here, but for bosses, that's going to be kind of pointless. But for mapping, that might be the right choice, because you get one more endurance charge, which is more physical damage reduction. You get 10, 14 from here, and I'm using Arctic Armor, which is another 21. So I get a lot of physical damage mitigation. I think mitigation is far better than armor. Getting both is obviously the best choice, but mitigation is quite strong. So let's run one of these bosses here. More life will be, and can't leech. We'll do a more life. This dude is going to be brutal. And we'll fight a brutal motherfucker with this. My nose itches significantly. There's nothing I can do about it. Oh shit, I didn't even talk about like the biggest conundrum I have with this build. And that is how Withering Touch support works with Barrage. Does each arrow apply a Withering Touch? I have no fucking clue how to figure that out. Other than to ask the internet here. Because if each... let me go to town.
Good doggy.
Let me go to town to demonstrate what I'm talking about here. Go to town, come back in. See my frenzy charges when I use this frenzy with barrage. You'll see that I only get one frenzy charge per instance of barrage. One frenzy charge, one frenzy charge, one frenzy charge. Not getting multiple frenzy charges because of the extra arrows in barrage. Does that also mean I wouldn't be getting extra withering touch chance? Because there's a 25% chance to apply withering touch, which probably isn't worth it because my attack speed is just under like 8 or it's like 7. So mathematically, that's like 6 to 7 withering touches on average when I'm fighting a boss. And that's not the maximum amount of withering steps, and it might still be the strongest skill to use. But if this barrage is working, like I hope it does, and it's applying withering steps for every arrow that hits with barrage, then I'm going to be at 15 withering steps, which is an extremely strong node. And if it works that way, and I'm going to be at 15 withering steps, that right there is the strongest gem I can have in this socket. Even stronger than like ridiculous ones like vicious projectiles. So why I like split arrow. What the hell? Oh yeah, it's on one of these bosses. Why I like split arrow is it does a really good job of clearing, and I'm able to do chaining and then 2 damage mods. I'm doing withering touch on that as well, simply, I don't know why. Simply because I have it. It's not going to be the strongest node. There's definitely going to be a stronger node for that. So that curse is extremely good because of how fast I'm attacking. Oh, fucker got me anyways. Curse is really strong because of how fast I'm attacking. I'm getting a ton of life with the mark, not a curse. I don't like the naming of course. Fighting invisible enemies. So I should be pretty strong against this guy. My spell suppression, last I checked, was pretty good. Defense, spell suppression, 80% chance to spell suppress. I'm not running up here simply because I lose a lot of damage to run up here to get that extra spell suppress. You totally could if you wanted to try to build this. It would cap me well over 100, and then I can't run this because I'm running that. But you could take off this brutal restraint. But this brutal restraint is one I just happen to have, and it gives me 5 attack, 20 projectile, 20 projectile, critical strike, evasion. That's not very useful. Damage with poison, and 20 to dex. Not very useful, but it's a pretty good jewel that I just happen to have. But you can use something else in there. Let's hold still and let so my defenses, yeah, my resistances are packed. Where you at? He was invisible. And the life regeneration is also a huge problem I have. See, I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to fight this guy without my life regeneration, because I can't use vitality. And I'm using the gem that only allows you to use grace, and using something else so you can pop vitality in there might be pretty useful, because you see here, this boss is just ending my life completely. And there's very little I can do in terms of strategies to avoid it. Aside from play better, which we all know I can't do. It's also a pretty bad map to fight him in. And remember, he's got 43% more life, so. Shit. Fucking frenzy charges dropped.
Low on my...
Yeah, this guy's fucking brutal to fight with this build. And I could fight people that aren't brutal, but I want to demonstrate the downsides. And the mods are also quite harsh on here. With the attack speed, cast speed, more life. I don't think the accuracy is doing anything. And that's it. Completely failed. Completely failed. So let us do the Constrictor instead. Also more life, but should be a much easier demonstration. And the strong suit of this build is definitely not its bossing. It would be its mapping, which I will demonstrate. I can do it on this one. This is a pretty good map for it. Kind of want to off-screen as much as you can with the split arrow as you're walking. So let's kind of do a walk and tap. It's kind of walk and tap, and you'll be hitting these fuckheads off screen and let your poison damage do a lot of the work. Because one problem with it is when you actually get to the enemies, your poison damage has some time it needs to... and they forgot the enemies again. To do the work. But almost kind of feels like sweeping. And Barrage kind of feels good. I'm not sure I like it. I'm not sure I like it at all, but... kind of feels good to get a big old burst of arrows going. I don't know if the animation continues when I'm gone. I don't think it does. Just trying to keep my frenzy charges, but I don't think it's gonna work. They're reluctant to let me have these frenzy charges before I start this battle. It's gonna be close. Nope.
Low on mana.
So that's where the split arrow comes into handy, and then when you got single target, just burst them down. Evasion's pretty high. 86% chance to evade, 54,000 evasion. Then a fuck ton of physical damage mitigation. See, so that Guardian, absolutely no challenge for this build. But the Electric Guardian, he's a bit of a fuck dick. Doop-a-doop. And that's with the crit. Let's put the other ones, which I think are probably better than the crit setup. I really wish they would give me minions to allow me to do an Elder. Let's retry this electric fuck. Da-da-da. 2 unique bosses, cannot leech, can't do cannot leech. Extra physical damage is fire, that's pretty rough. Enfeeble, also pretty rough, I don't really want that one. Monsters are hexproof, I don't want that. Steel charges, can't do that. Yeah, that should be fine. Now, if someone does have the answer to that Withering Touch, Withering... I don't know if I'd call it Withering Touch, or just application of Wither, on whether or not each one of the arrows from Barrage is able to apply it, I would love to know that information, because if each arrow from Barrage does not apply Wither, I will not be using Barrage. Because the only reason I'm using Barrage is to apply the Wither to get to 15 Wither stacks. Because that is a lot of fucking poison chaos damage there. My frenzy charges, let's do this. Almost. Much easier. What the fuck? Much easier map to fight him on. Sometimes I don't understand how I died. I don't know if those electric balls do damage, or I don't really understand how I died right there. I mean, I wasn't paying close attention. He was doing a stupid spinny ball face, so. But that Guardian obviously is a bit of a problem for this build. I don't really know, aside from getting more life, obviously, the best strategy for handling a boss like that. More life and, you know, more skill. You can also increase your maximum resistances to help out with that kind of damage mitigation. There's only 20% left on the spell suppression, so I don't think that extra 20 is going to do a huge difference. This dude just hits real fucking hard with his lightning damage. Oh shit, that's only his first phasing? I thought he already phased once. I guess he just went up in the air. Like that. I would be curious on what a full damage bow versus a +1 to frenzy bow would do in terms of the damage. I bet it's pretty significant. Million or so DPS maybe.
Low on mana.
Ooh. Ooh. Hey, that's probably why I can never do an elder, because I can never kill that motherfucker. But now I have an elder. Let's go to my stuff. I'll do a fucking elder with this build. For the longest time, I never pieced together. I always just look at the bottom one of this node. 150% increased global evasion rate and went on low live. But I never paid attention to the top part. 50% reduced damage when on low life. So a couple years ago, I made a low life build that was using this helmet, and I made it and played it all the way through. I was doing 50% less damage. I forgot what, I think it was a Cyclone, low life, shockwave build, and I was wrecking with it. I've had 50% less damage, and I never even noticed. And I was just using it for the evasion. And then, I forgot how I figured it out. It wasn't by any type of intelligence. I just accidentally stumbled across seeing that it didn't have, you know, it had 50% less damage along with the evasion. Save me, Shaper, save me. So that Mark kind of is the champion of bossing for this build. Because I'm getting just so much energy shield. I mean, so much life with it. Let's see here, it's probably just better to use multi-shot. I find it satisfying to hit super fast and apply all those poison stacks, and maybe even wither stacks. Something about it. Watching the damage. Because a lot of builds will like one-shot it, but for some reason that's less satisfying than like machine gunning it to fucking hell. Just feels more satisfying to watch it progressively get more and more damage. It just feels good. I'm all about builds that just kind of feel good. Why? I don't like Lightning Strike. Obviously, very overpowered and you can do double damage with it. But I've played it a couple times and tried it out. It doesn't feel good to me. And Elder down. Obviously not the fastest Elder kill, but that's plenty smooth. Plenty smooth enough.
So that
You could probably Uber Elder. It'd be a little more difficult because you have to move so damn much in that battle. Now let's do what this build is probably strongest for. Let's hit up a strand. Where's my strand? There's my strand. Pump it up. No regen. I wonder how I can do a no regen map. I want to do a demonstration. I could probably do no regen because my regen is so dog shit anyways. Yeah, that's fine. Let's make sure I'm sexed up. I wanna sex you up. Bump, bump. Okay, let's hit it with some fog. Do I got any fogs? Yeah, I got a couple fogs. I used all these. I thought I was gonna be at the end of my league. But a bunch of the games I wanted to play ended up sucking donkey dick, so I kept playing this. Super disappointed in Dio-filled tactics. Absolutely soul-crushed that wasn't any good. Well, that's being... I am harsh. I'm a little harsh on my game critics. It's okay. It's an okay game. But I'm not looking for okay games. Path of Exile is a great game, so I can play Path of Exile. Instead of playing an okay game, I could play a great game, even if I'm a little bored of the great game. It's better to play a great game more than to dabble in a bunch of okay games, in my opinion. Oh yeah, I want to give it the flow. Kind of want to build up a bunch of mobs like this, and you let your fucking projectile chaining do the work. Kind of bounce around a little bit and chain it up. And if you get any big boys like this, you frenzy on their asses.
Low on mana.
Oh shit. Look what they did to us. Look what they've done. I can't believe they've done this. Giving me the best fucking mod ever. The best, what do you call that? Shrine. Withering Touch, definitely strong with this bad boy. As you can see, the evasion and the physical mitigation makes it a pretty fucking tanky build. Obviously not the tankiest build in the world, but compared to a lot of the bow builds you see, like those... I could try a fucking... I forget what they call the bow skill that has the circle and shoots the shit on the sides. Whatever the most popular bow skill is called, that might be better than Split Arrow. How I cannot remember it right now while I'm playing this game is beyond me. I've never done a build with it, maybe that's why I don't remember it. It'll dawn on me. All you guys are screaming it right now as you're listening to me talk. You're like, it's called something circle arrow that splits onto the sides. It's irking me more and more. Irking me more and more that I don't know what the fuck it's called right now. I kind of don't want to look it up to force my brain to fucking recall it. Let's let the poison do the work. Oh, the poison wasn't able to do the work. I keep thinking Storm Arrow. It's not Storm Arrow. It's definitely not Storm Arrow. Bow Hurricane? No, it's not Bow Hurricane. Hurricane Arrow? No. OP Circle Arrow bow build thing. Strife. Like Diablo 2, it's called Strife Arrow. That's what it's definitely called. 22 monsters left. Time to abandon. The loot for these is so disappointing with this new league. I mean, 20% delirium, and this is what I got. Kind of disappointing. Da, 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 da. Tornado. I was going hurricane. Hurricane shot. Tornado shot. Yeah, I've never done tornado shot. This is actually like my first bow build ever. I've done a bleed puncture bow build as a gladiator once before, but I've never really done a dedicated bow build because bow builds are always so fucking expensive because that's what the bots use. You never want to use a fucking skill that all the bots are using or something that's ultra fast for farming because a lot of people get enjoyment out of like ultra farming. I kind of like it too. You just put on a TV show and you run through a bunch of maps. But let's see if I got a tornado shot available to me. Tornado shot. I don't even have one. If I don't have one, I'm not gonna go buy one. Not gonna buy one. So I'll just keep using split arrow. Let us run. What could I run? What could I run that would be an interesting thing for this build? Let's run a fucking blighted map. I don't want to do any of my like special yellows. Boros. I have 2 Boros. Let's just run one of these. These take forever, so I'm not going to turn it, I'm not going to anoint it or anything like that. I'm just going to leave it as is. Just give it 20 quant. This will be interesting. I think I'll struggle because I got to constantly apply the damage with my right click, and I'm going to have a difficult time building turrets. I already kind of have a difficult time building turrets because I'm not a click master. I ain't no fucking POE shroud or some bullshit like that. I have a difficult time, like, keeping my eye on where my mouse cursor is. And when I play, I usually don't even pay attention where my mouse cursor is with, like, my main focus of my eye. It's just kind of on the peripheral. So clicking accurately on something doesn't really happen very good for me because mostly I'm focusing on my main character right here. So my focal point of my eyes is right here. So the mouse, where the mouse location is just kind of out of instinct, like where I think it's at. And I don't know if other people play that way, but I have to play that way. So a lot of times, like when I try to click a tower, a turret to build a thing, I'll miss by like a kind of, like, just barely miss the getting the click. Or like when I gotta level up my skills on the right and I try to click the plus, I just barely miss it. And it's kind of annoying. But not much I can do about it. Maybe there's like a training I can do. Like a click accuracy while only having sub-focus training. I don't know what that'd be. Let's see. No one... Oh, we got 1 immune to fire. I'll do fireballs. Fireballs. No. I've never looked at what's best to do on a blighted map. I just do what I like. And what I like is fireballs and stun. Damage does seem a little low. Might do some struggling. Let's put another dude there. Let's do that guy here. Kind of want to build a bunch of cheap towers before I go any expensive towers. So that way, as shit gets hectic, I can upgrade them. I really like this mechanic. Kind of wish that it was a little faster or different in a way. And maybe you build your turret design and have it on like an auto upgrade system, so you just build all the level 1s and then everything else auto upgrades. That might be kind of more cool for me.
Light is trying to spread.
And then when they lose their track, you like hit them and they lose their track and they just run straight to the turret. That's kind of weird. Kind of jank.
Put out you mycelium. New roots.
Okay, we got a boss down there. Gotta run and apply some deeps.
New roots.
Fuck. Got.
The blight is trying to spread. It's branching, exile. Put out you mycelium. New roots.
Yeah, that split arrow is kind of nice for this mod. I'm glad I'm using split arrow. And did one just get fucking? One just got fucking through. Glad I'm using split arrow instead of double frenzy setup. I think that split arrow is helping a lot versus a double frenzy setup.
Do not let them reach the purification pump. Those fiends are getting too close to my pump.
We shouldn't insult them and call them fiends. Maybe they just fucking want some juice, like you want some juice. That single target's pretty good. Oh shit, he's a splitter. Fucking pump destroyed. A splitter. A splitter got me got. Brutal. Oh, look, a golden oil. Look at that kind of luck. As you saw, I'm terrible at building towers. My downfall in that build was my inability to properly build the towers quick enough.
Just need a moment to
So that's an example of it in a tier 15 blighted map. That was a pure performance loss. I just wasn't able to perform. Anyone who can build towers faster or more effectively would have been able to clear that super easy. Let us do one last thing. Where it's in stuff, isn't it? Yeah, it's in stuff. Let's run one of these. You guys can watch me get an Ashes of the Stars. Right. I like all of that. I like it all.
This is not a battle you can win, hatchling.
We will fight side by side.
Wonder if I could take one of those hits. I'll find out. Cannot take one of those hits.
Low on mana.
My champion,
Fuck.
energize the spheres.
Hate when I stand on a sphere and it doesn't energize.
Be gone.
Well, at least it stores that juice that you put on it. That's kind of nice.
Hiding path.
I don't think the withers are applying with the barrage. I think I'd be doing a lot more damage if you had 15 wither stacks on them, to be honest.
Hiding path.
So I think it's only applying 1 wither per shot. 1 wither per attack, which means withering step is probably a better investment versus withering touch. Because withering step will apply 6 immediately.
Be gone.
Well, one downside of having 14 frenzy charges is my frenzy charges duration is much lower with the items that I'm using. So I only got 14 seconds, which is pretty good, but with these boss phases, as you saw, I lost my charges. I don't really like where we're at here.
Inescapable doom.
Fucking inescapable doom right before he dies.
Energize the spheres. Be gone.
Oh, no ashes to the stars. I still want to run this bow, though. Seems pretty interesting. Especially with Frenzy, because you're going to be getting to max and then none max super quick. That'd be very weird. Very weird. So this would be my final product of this build. If you wanted to improve it, get a better bow. If you wanted to improve it to the max, switch from a bow skill and do fucking Nightblade with the claw. Get a different body armor. And you're fucking set. You're good to go. You can even get a body armor with a chance to get Frenzy Charge on hit. And then run any skill you want. And this will be quite strong. Quite strong. Even if you didn't have these +1 rings. These are pricey. Well, in the divine range. But this, you can get rid of that crit. And you're looking at a couple C, 20C, 1C if you don't want that 9% suppress. You can get a cheap belt. You can do all of this on a super fucking tight budget. Super tight budget. If you really wanted to. That is it. I'm gonna move on to whatever my next build is going to be.